Welcome back, everybody. It's Annette Green here, and I have so much fun stuff to share today in the way of Halloween and Elizabeth Craft designs. So I'm going to show you right away. I've made this great little mini album. It's not so mini. It's a good size, about 5 by 8.5 or so. And it's like a board book, and it has the book rings in here. And these are all made with the Planner Essentials new Halloween sets 1, 2, and 3, plus a new stamp set just for Halloween called Halloween Vibes. And so I'm going to tell you about the products that went into making this, and then we're going to make it together. So let's get right to that. All right, like I said, a couple things that you will need supply-wise. I used Graphic 45's Midnight Tales patterns and solids in the 12 by 12 collection. You really could use any papers you have that are Halloween colors. I did incorporate some kind of a goldeny saffron colored cardstock, which you'll see in some areas here and there. You would need a crocodile hole punch to repunch your page holes. Of course, you need the stamp set, Halloween Vibes, and I used all 3 of the planner dies. Again, these are Planner Essentials. This is Halloween Set 1, has all this great stuff on it and a little more. The cute little hole reinforcers, which you'll see. Planner Essentials Halloween Set number 2 has a lot of words, also some hole reinforcers and some great little tombstones and these great things on the back with the pumpkins and the haunted house. And then Planner Essentials Halloween Set 3 is this huge page die. And if you notice, it doesn't have any holes in it to go in the planner. You have to punch your own for this one. It's sort of an accent frame for a page. And then again, some hole reinforcers, little cute ones in the shapes of pumpkins, and then all these great pieces, and then even more here. So it's pretty loaded, all those 3 die sets. And of course you have that great stamp set. I did use a little black soot distress ink to ink all my edges. And the only other die that I used, just to kind of help with elements in the book, you'll see, is Planner Essentials 4, and that has this great regular size page die, which helps you tremendously knowing where those holes are. And then all these little photo frames and this tag and some little arrows and tabs and all kinds of cute things, which I do incorporate throughout the book. A couple of things I forgot to mention that you will need is a little bit of just scrap off-white cardstock for some stamping and a few things that we do in here. Of course, the black chipboard that I used for the covers. Get yourself at least a 12 by 12 sheet of medium weight black chipboard. And you will see that I use this in the video, Uniball Signo Broad White Gel Pen. This is called a pigment ink white. I hope you can see the details on there, but I did use that too. So to begin our mini album, I am going to use some medium weight chipboard. I have cut 2 pieces, 5 inches wide by 8.5 inches tall. That's going to be my front cover and back cover. And then all my pages are going to be made with paper from the collection I told you about at the beginning from Graphic 45. Something to keep in mind with this awesome page die is once you cut it out of what you think you want to use it from, don't get rid of the other half you think you're not going to use, because you can definitely put it to good use later. So I started with this and I decided I was going to use this for my front cover, and then I cut a green one and I'm going to save this for something later. And this will go on here just like that. I've adhered the green frame onto my black chipboard cover, and before I go to put this back into place from the orange, I've started to do it already. I'm going to ink with some black soot distress ink, kind of coming way in to give it that kind of eerie glow. I've already done around the edges, so I just finished this part off here, and it just gives it that much more interest, I think, when it goes back into place here. So I will glue that back in, and a couple of other things that I have gotten prepared. This cute little bat. He's probably going to go up there. And I've cut out all the letters for Happy Halloween. Now, Halloween is one die, but all the letters are separate. So that's in the pile there. But then I wanted Happy, which is not in the die set, but you do have your H's here and your A, and then you have the P and pumpkin over here. So you really do have all of the alphabet. These are the leftover letters that don't go with any words that are in the set, because there's all kinds of words: pumpkin, trick or treat, Halloween. And so this is allowing us to have every letter of the alphabet, which I think is great. So there's the Y that I used for happy. So I have those ready. I also have 31 that I need to decide what color I want it to be to go there. And I've got some stamps to work with. And also I have cut out this awesome little spooky house, let's call it, haunted mansion. And I've cut it out of the purple pattern paper that Graphic 45 has. Let me grab a sheet and show you what I did. So sometimes you have papers that are, it looked a little busy when I cut the house out of this. So it has this great spiderweb design, but as you can see, I have toned down all that bright off-white spider webbing by just taking some compatible colored ink and brushing it across the top. So that just kind of tones down that busyness a little bit. And that will probably go there with my Happy Halloween over it. So I'm developing a plan, and I will just take a moment to get all these things on here, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I was getting things ready, and I thought, wouldn't it be cute to put a little bit of yellow, like glowy light, behind our little window pieces? And so I started to do that just with some scrap cardstock I had over here in my stash. Just put little pieces behind. You know, they don't have to be perfect. I will get this last one in here. And while I had out that same yellow cardstock, I went ahead and cut out my 31 with that as well. So pop this on here. So that looks pretty cute, right? So that's going to go down here. And here's my 31, and I've got my Happy Halloween ready. So I'll get those on here as well. But one thing I don't want to forget is that I have, I am going to punch holes just like the page die. So I will eventually line up this page die over here to this left edge and punch through. And I will do that in just a minute. But before I do that, I want to cut out my little reinforcers, and look at these cute little ghosts. Right? So I have this off-white kind of cardstock. It's very sturdy, but I feel like it's going to be just too stark white, just like this. So one thing I want to do really quick is I'm going to try this out, see if I like it. I'm going to take that black soot and kind of rub it on my table here, and grab some water, just a little spritz. Try not to get my letters wet over here. Just kind of make it kind of murky. And I could test it, but I'm just going to do it. Yeah, see, that's cool. Yes. And I don't want it to be, you know, completely full. I want it to look kind of like that. Yeah, that looks cool. All right, so I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to cut out my ghosts, and I'll show you how that turned out. All right, look, that looks pretty cute, right? So I have them on here, and looking pretty sweet. Now what I did do is, and it's an optional step of course, but in the eyes I went back through with just a fine little Sharpie, and I colored them in black, because sometimes it was orange in the background, sometimes it was green. And so just to make them all look a little uniform and cute, I just filled them all in with black. I've got my little house down here, and I have some other things ready to go. I'll get those on here next. I just made a discovery that you might find interesting, and that is that those black letters really did not look too well, did not pop out at all on that purple little house. So that made it very difficult to read. So I went ahead and just mounted it on that scrap of that same yellow cardstock that I've been using, and I'm just going to cut around this kind of loosely. Look at these separated first. And then I'm just going to cut around them and leave a little bit of an edge, and that'll really make that stand out so much better. So much better. Okay, and as you can see, I have added some dimensional foam adhesive to the back, and I already have Happy down here. So I'm just going to put my Halloween right there in the middle. And I have added a bat here. This is from the die set number 1. We've been working with die set number 2. We will eventually be working with 3, but that's where this little bat comes from, and I did put the yellow behind his eyes there. So we're just about finished with the cover. The one more thing I want to do is I want to stamp from this wonderful little stamp set. There is this little tape piece that says spooky, and it starts to say spooky again. I think that would be cute up here in the corner. So I've already conditioned my stamp. I've tested it out on a scrap piece of paper because this is my only chance, and I'm going to lean way over. Hopefully you won't see the top of my head, and hopefully I'm getting it straight, but I'm going to stamp that right there. So that's just a little something that you can do with your stamps to dress it up even a little further. There's a couple of other really cute little things in here, but I think I'll save those for the inside. So for my inside front cover, I am using the full page die from Planner Essentials 4 that I mentioned at the beginning. I have covered it with this pretty paper, the orange paper, and because I'm using this die, I might as well use some of the parts in here as well. So I have thought about maybe making a little label that we can maybe stamp with something here, the date, and maybe just a little something simple to lead into our album. So I have die cut this tag, however it does have the holes, and I don't really want it over here. So I've just cut a little accent strip of paper, and I'm going to stick that across and just cover those up. And I'm still deciding, do I want it this way or do I want it this way? My plan is, I did a little test to stamp the little girl and the label, and it will fit on there all the way. So I think I'm just going to do that. I'm going to do it tall. And so what I learned, of course, was when you stamp the little girl and you stamp the label, you do have to separate them. You have to mask something out so you don't have this line going through her legs and the other parts of the design. So I did, this is an old school thing. If you've never done this before, this is just a Post-it note square, and I stamped the girl on there, and I just cut away where I know by looking at my little test where that label is going to run into her, across her legs there. So what I want to do is decide where I want that to be, and I'm looking for the stamp. There we go. So I just want to make sure that she is on this tag. Her little head doesn't go off the top, and she's kind of in the middle. So first we're going to stick that down, and I'm going to stamp this little label with an orangey color. And I just I want to have a little bit of space below so I can stamp the date. So I think I'll stamp right there. Okay. And then when we peel this away, then this is what we have, and we know that she'll fit in there just nicely. So now we'll ink her up. Kind of line this up best we can. Let's see how we did. Oh, that's very nice. See? Okay, cool. So the only other thing I want to do is stamp down here the date. And I didn't find any stamp sets that we have with Elizabeth Crafts that has the full date of 2021. So I am going to just use some stamps that I have already and just some black ink. And it's easier for me to stamp number by number as opposed to trying to line them all up on a stamp block. But you can do whatever works for you. Okay, cute. So I feel like a little something else needs to happen in here. I'll think about that, but basically that's how we do that little mask trick. All right, let's zoom in here a little bit. So take a peek under here and you can see that I have used some kind of a burnt orange, well, carved pumpkin ink, and I have blended it using just a little blending tool there. And I stamped another mask of the label this time. I cut away the center just using a craft knife, and I'm going to lay my girl back over the top. Actually, I think I'm going to cut around her feet here because I feel like that needs a little something in there. It's just a little plain, and I noticed on the stamp set that I'm using that has those numbers 2021, it also has like a little polka dot stamp in there. So I thought that would be cute to kind of polka dot in the background. So I'm cutting carefully around her feet. This does not have to be perfect. You'll see that it will come out just fine if you get close enough. All right, so I will stick her right back over the top. And here's my little stamp, has those little dots. I'm going to use that same orange that I used for the label. And I should test this just real quick. Wouldn't be a bad idea, right? I mean, it's not masked over here, but yeah, I think that's going to be cute. And it definitely reaches all the way across, so okay. We're ready to commit. Kind of stick this down. Last row, but let's see how that turned out. Really cute, right? So that helped quite a bit, and you can see how that orange looks all the way around. And I have this one die cut bat that I'm probably going to add over here, and then we'll get that on the inside front cover. All right, and I have her over here in the bottom left corner, and I think I'll just stick my bat right there. Of course, you could go and color her in and everything, but I feel like it has kind of a cool vintage look just being black and white like that. So I'm going to call that done, and I'm going to move on to my first page in the album. Okay, so I think that I would love to use this wonderful die here. This is also from the Halloween set 1, and as you can see, it's partially cut out because my plan is to also cut it out of purple and have that be the lower portion. So what I want to do, I've cut this out of an orange paper. I have the double-sided adhesive on the back, and I'm just going to find a division line here and cut right across. Wow, can you guys hear that? It's a lovely sunny day, and there's a lot of people down by the pool today. So I'm going to re-ink that bottom, and that would go across the top. And so then I'll take this one, and let's see. I have to kind of look at what I've already cut away. So we'll cut right, oop, okay. Cut right across here. Okay, and I think that's going to work pretty well. Now we do have that same issue that we had with the cover where this purple doesn't really stand out tremendously well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use that same kind of yellow golden cardstock behind my images. And yeah, I think I'll do it all the way around. So I'm going to get that on there. And then this great web with the bat should be right over here, I believe. Honestly, it doesn't matter too much because you can make it go wherever you want. But I'm just going to stick with the design. And you can refer over to the die, which I think I need to do because it's hard for me to tell what's going on here. Okay. This straight edge kind of stops over here. And then this is right here. Okay, so I will take a minute and I will cut around that and we'll get that on our page. Alrighty, and that's how that's looking. I'm happy with that. I will have to go in and punch through those two spaces there, but that will be on the top of my page. And I'm telling you what, guys, it's getting really, really noisy out there. So this is one of the few times that I am going to switch over and do voiceover mode from here through the rest of the video. So I appreciate your patience with that. All right, as you can see, I have die cut Hocus Pocus, and I am getting the little pieces put back together over my double photo mat there. In case you're curious of the size, the purple photo mat measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. The orange measures 3 1/2 by 4 1/2, and those are inches. And to finish off this page, I'll just add these cute little pumpkin reinforcers, just 3 at the bottom. Okay, and I'm flipping over my page now, and these are the 2 pieces I had left over from before, so I'm just going to get this inked up as my base piece and put that orange spider web right in place. And of course, because I've covered them up in some places, I'm going to repunch those holes. All right, I have die cut this fun little frame that has the pumpkin guy, and as you can see, I did the double-sided adhesive, so it's a little bit tricky, but I'm going to get that down there. I've done this in black, and trim off that excess there and pick out any little extra pieces. I also used that same gold cardstock and cut a little bit from that frame as well. This would be a great place for some journaling. And so down in this corner I want to do a little something, so I've grabbed the Happy Halloween stamp from the stamp set and stamped that in black. And then I want to add Trick or Treat, and so I've put the word "or" on the little circle disc. And that disc and these letters come from Halloween set 2 is all the letters, and Halloween set 3 is the circle. And now you can see I am adding some more pumpkin reinforcers on those holes there and finishing out my Trick or Treat. And this page is done. All right, for my next page, I have cut out the page in the green spider web. I've cut out some photo frames and my little crow and the pumpkins, which I've added more of that gold cardstock behind certain elements here. And I've also die cut the word pumpkins from some purple paper. Die cut the label. I've cut this strip here that is 3/4 of an inch wide by the height of the page. And you'll see it's a little long, so I'm going to trim that off. But I'm going to put this over on the left just as another element to kind of tie in with some of the black on the other page. And I will re-ink around with that black ink here. And those little photo frames are from the Planner Essentials 4 that I talked about at the beginning. And this little ticket label is from Halloween set 3, and I'm inking around, of course, with that same orange like I've done earlier, and I'm going to stamp a little something inside. And just a little black on the outside edges of this label, even folding in that one area to get that separation. And I think I will stamp that frame. I'm just going to use black for that. It fits perfectly, of course, because it's been purposely made for this place. And now I will stamp out the words. This is a purple ink I just have. And isn't that cute with the purple? Yeah, I like that. All right, and then of course, like I said before, I've covered up some of those holes, layering some things on there, so I'm going to repunch those out with my Crop-A-Dile. And now I'm going to start to assemble, and you can see that that was a little bit too much blank space there. So I trimmed some of that off, and I'm just kind of laying things where I want them now. I'll get this down, and you'll see later that even that other portion of blank space kind of bothered me, so I stamped something in there. But these little photo frames are great. Of course, I die cut them in black and mounted them on that yellow cardstock like I've been using. And same with my little pumpkin here with that golden yellow cardstock in the background. Okay, just have my crow, not sure where he's going to go yet, so I am going to focus on the word pumpkins and just start getting those letters down. I've cut those out of purple. And it looks like I have a great space right there on the M for my little crow. All right, and you can see here on my pumpkins I've added a little bit of texture by using some colored pencils. Just drew some lines and some shading. Just makes it kind of pop and come alive there. So now I'm going to flip this over and start on my next page. So you see I'm using the die with the witch and the row of headstones. And first I'm going to apply these cute little witch hat hole reinforcers. And I love how they turn different ways. You can switch them facing each different direction. And as you saw, they hung off the page a little bit, so I trimmed them. Now I'm going to put this purple and white spiderweb paper. I don't know the measure of this, but you can see that I've just trimmed it down from the actual page size so it fits in there. And I'm planning out all my little elements, and I've decided that I want to die cut the witch right out of this paper just to see if I can have a cool effect here. And you know, it needs a little more detail, so I went ahead and cut the witch out of black pattern paper as well. And I'm going to put her back in there, but before I do that, I'm taking a little bit of white paint on a dauber and inking her edges to give her just a little bit of a kind of an eerie glow around her. And this will really make her stand out when I put her back in place there. But before I glue her in place, I've punched a big circle out of that same gold cardstock, and that'll be the moon behind her there. So I'll just get her right in place here. And just to make her stand out just a little more, I went and used that Signo white pen I told you about earlier. And here we have a double photo mat. I'll give you those measures on the screen. And then I've stamped out this cute little label on my scrap ivory cardstock. Trimming it out here, and then I will ink around the edges and get that in place. The photo mats for that particular page, the black is 3 inches by 3.5, and the orange is 3 1/4 by 3 3/4. And you'll notice here when I stick this down, I only adhere it on the right hand side so I can get my photo underneath that left little area there. And I'm starting on a new page here. I have die cut 2 more of those same tags from Planner Essentials 4. This time I am going to line them up with the holes in the page. And you can see I've used that green paper, and I've die cut the set of pumpkins, but I'm only going to use this middle large guy, so I trimmed away the rest. I might put that little hat on there, we'll see. I've cut out a little tab, also from the Planner Essentials 4. And I have masked out some of this one particular stamp. I don't need the little, I think they're little witch brooms on that stamp set. And I didn't really need those. I just wanted witch vibes, which I stamped on the tab. Now these two little green photo mats are each 2 1/2 inch by 2 1/4 inches. And I'm just going to pop those right on those tags. And I have die cut a circle out of black and cut it in half. It just is a little treatment on the tops of these tags. And I'm going to stick my pumpkin here. And yep, I'm going to use that hat. I thought I did that. Okay, and also from Planner Essentials 4, I have die cut that circle with the arrow in it. I've die cut it twice, once out of the orange cardstock, I'm sorry, the gold cardstock, and then from the orange pattern paper. I'm going to pop that area back into the circle. So I've stamped October 31st with the little label, all from the stamp set. Cutting it out of that ivory cardstock, just trimming it up, going to ink around the edges like I've been doing. And I will add that to this page and it will be done. Working on the back side of that page, I have my little pumpkins cut out here with the little black behind their faces, and there's that same goldish cardstock which measures 4 inches by 6 5/8, and then the black pattern paper measures 3 3/4 by 6 3/8. So that's just a nice little photo mat, double photo mat, and now I will add my little pumpkins on the bottom. I have stamped another one of those great little labels, which I will put at the top there. And I've die cut this wonderful candelabra. I'm looking to see which set that comes from. That is from Halloween set 3. I'm just using some Tombow water-based markers for this. And they were simply die cut from the ivory cardstock that I've been using. And I'm just using several colors and shading and having some fun just coloring these in. And so this will just be a little accent piece on this page. And that will be it. You can see how I'm always thinking about where I'm going to put things, so I decided down there. Now, instead of hole reinforcers, I thought this little cauldron in the stamp set is pretty cute, so I used that instead. You can see I did a little partial there and fix it really quick. But I'm just stamping it in black right over the holes, so they almost look like hole reinforcers. My next new page is a black pattern paper page, and you see me working on the Rest in Peace. This comes from Halloween set 3, and I'm going to take that scrap that I had of the orange spider web, and I'm going to put that in place here. I'm just kind of trimming away some of that extra stuff. Instead of the whole frame this time, I'll just use the web, and we'll get that right on the top of this page. And there's those little ghosts, those little reinforcers again. I just love these guys. I'm going to get those on there. And now I've put a little brad through the Rest in Peace circle, layered circle. I'm going to put that right into the center of our spider web. And here are some double photo mats. I'll give you those measures with the purple and the gold on the screen here. The purple is 3 1/4 by 2 1/4, and the golds are 3 1/2 by 2 1/2. And so now I'm adding some dimensional foam adhesive behind my little bat that I have layered up on some orange cardstock. Okay, working on the back side of that page, you can see that I have added another accent strip of the orange, 3/4 inch wide by the height of the page. And I've die cut that same little frame with our little skeleton man, and I'm just mounting it onto some purple paper. Ink those edges, and I cut away our little guy. And there you see I've stamped the little witch girl again. This time I did color her all in, and I put her up in the frame there. And this time I will go back to little pumpkin reinforcers. I've inked the edges in black so they stand out on the orange strip. Another little bat up in the frame there. And there's our little guy we cut away. We're going to put him back in place down here on the right. And then I'm going to use that same tag die that I've used before. This time I cut off the hole reinforcers that were the circles at the bottom of the tag. And I used a little pumpkin on the top of that tag hole, you see. Using that scrap that I had from the ghosts, I stamped another label. I'm going to put that on that purple tag. All right, now we have a fresh new page. I have several things stamped there, you can see, and I have die cut that spooky house, this time out of black, and you saw me trim just a little bit off this time. And I'm going to tuck that right behind there and get this little ticket label stamp cluster in place. And here I have stamped the word boo onto another one of those little tabs. And I added a bat, as you saw, very quickly. And flipping the page over, I am now adding another one of those paper strips, this time out of green pattern paper that has spider webs on it. I'm going to repunch those holes real quick. And I have die cut a portion of that die, only using the black. And here I have a little double photo mat, where I have die cut several things from the set out of the mat. So I'll pop back in a little arrow I've die cut with the gold cardstock, and I have all these other little great bats and crows. Now, next page, I have used the purple, and to accent the spider web to stand out better, I use that white gel pen. And now to make little photo mats that are really going to stand out well on the purple, I have die cut them out of orange, but backed them onto black, and now I'm just cutting around each one, and that'll really help that stand out. And you see 3 of those circles. I'm going to take some of that scrap ivory that I had before, and I'm going to cut out the word eek, as you see on the page. And then here I cut out the spooky house again, and I have all these pieces left over that have these green little tendrils, which I thought were really kind of cool to add, like creepy, like things coming up and around from the photos and off the page. So I've just used all those little scrap parts and pieces to make a fun little accent. Flipping this page over, I use some black pattern paper. Can't tell you the size, I don't remember, sorry, but I put it on the middle of the page there, and once again have cut out the 3 pumpkins, but I cut them out twice this time from orange paper, and I just want to get 3 separate pumpkins. As you can see, I had this idea that I could stack them up on each other down here in the corner, and I have put that gold cardstock behind each of their little faces. Just a fun little treatment in the corner there, and you can see I've added a gold crow at the bottom and a photo mat here, 3 1/4 by 4, and a black pattern paper mat at 3 inches by 3 3/4. I've added the word treats down there, and of course our pumpkin hole reinforcers on the page. Now this is my back cover, which is chipboard, and I've added the full page cut from orange pattern paper. Stamped out that Happy Halloween tag and colored another one of those little candelabras. And I'm adding those little witch hat reinforcers once again. This time I don't have to trim them because they're on a bigger sized chipboard page. I've die cut that tag once again and added a strip of paper to cover the holes, another circle which I've folded over as a little tab at the top of my tag, and that will be a little last photo mat on the very last page. And once again, just like before, I'm going to color in 2 more of those candelabras. It's very fun to do. While it's still on the page, it's a lot easier to color in than when they're taken out of the die cut piece and try to color on the table. So this went a lot faster. So now all I have to do is pop those out and get them on the page. And just to make it a little fun, I did the candelabras so they're kind of floating around the page. And you see I peel up one there because I'm thinking I got to get my photo underneath there. And now I'm working on the paper for my back cover. I've just die cut this black pattern paper using the full page die, and I made myself a little label and signed it because I gifted this out to someone special, and so I wanted to make sure I signed and dated it. Alright, the album is complete. All we do now is bind it. You can use ribbon. I use these small rings from Graphic 45 in this brass kind of color. I have these cute little photo corners I got on Etsy. I will try to find the link and put it in the description below. Okay everybody, I hope you enjoyed that project. It was super fun to make. I don't think that I showed this in the video previously, but I did end up adding some great little charms here. These are just some things I had in my stash, a spider and a key, and just punched a little circle and put it on one of these kind of charm backed things here. Added these little corners, and that's pretty much all I added since you saw the tutorial. So that's it. This is being gifted to someone as a surprise, so I can't wait for that person to receive it. As always, you can get all your Elizabeth Craft products from your local and favorite scrapbook store. And of course, if you don't have that, then you can always order directly from Elizabeth Craft Designs right on their website. So thanks again, everybody. Take care, and I will see you very soon in the next video.